at Lincoln Valley High. Finals week was a battlefield. Students dragged themselves through the halls with bloodshot eyes and energy drink cans clutched like lifelines. Teachers pretended they were preparing us for the real world, but everyone knew the truth. Finals were just academic torture in disguise. And in the middle of all that chaos was Ethan Price. Ethan wasn't a bad student, but he wasn't an honors kid either. He lived in the in-between, the kind of student teachers forget to call on and classmates forget to invite to group chats. Messy brown hair, constantly hunched shoulders, and a wardrobe that consisted mostly of hoodies. Ethan was basically the human version of meh. But finals had a way of magnifying weaknesses. For Ethan, it was like standing on a cliff with no parachute. His GPA was tanking, his parents were breathing down his neck, and every subject felt like a death sentence. So one night, staring at a mountain of notes he hadn't touched since September, Ethan mumbled to himself, "What if I just didn't show up?" At first, it was a joke. A stupid, sleep-deprived thought. But jokes have a way of turning dangerous when you're desperate enough. The next day, Ethan was in the cafeteria with his best friend, Maya Hernandez, who was the opposite of him in every way. She was sharp, sarcastic, with a notebook full of color-coded study guides that could probably replace half the textbooks. "You look like death," she said, poking at Ethan's untouched lunch. "That's the plan," Ethan muttered. Maya raised an eyebrow. "Excuse me?" Ethan leaned closer, lowering his voice. "What if I fake my death? You know, to get out of finals." She blinked at him, then burst out laughing. "You're insane." "I'm serious," he insisted. "Think about it. If people think I'm dead, there's no way they can make me take finals." Maya shook her head. "That's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. And you know what's worse? You're actually considering it." Ethan smirked. "Brilliantly stupid. That's what it is." By Friday, Maya thought Ethan had dropped the whole death-faking fantasy. But Lincoln Valley had its own twisted ecosystem, the rumor mill. It started small. Someone overheard Ethan joking in gym class about not being around next week. By the time the story passed through 5 different lunch tables, it had mutated into, "Ethan Price is planning something." By Monday morning, whispers floated through the hallways. "Did you hear? Ethan's gone." Gone, or just skipping school gone. They said he died in a car accident. No, it was drowning. My cousin's friend's sister swears it was food poisoning. Ethan walked into school, alive and confused, only to be greeted by wide eyes and hushed voices. Kids stared like they were seeing a ghost. "Oh, what?" he muttered, pushing past a cluster of freshmen. Maya caught up to him, glaring. "You started a wildfire." "I didn't start anything." Ethan hissed back. "I just made one joke." "Yeah, well," she said, "Lincoln Valley's rumor mill doesn't joke." By midweek, the rumors had gotten so out of control that Ethan faced 2 choices. Either shut it down and admit he was very much alive, or double down. And Ethan, sleep-deprived and terrified of finals, chose chaos. He skipped classes, deleted his socials, walked through the halls with his hood up like some tragic ghost haunting the school. The more he leaned into the act, the more people believed it. Someone even taped a fake, in loving memory, poster on his locker with a grainy yearbook photo. When Ethan saw it, instead of ripping it down, he whispered, "Holy crap, it's working." Maya dragged him into the library. "You've lost it. People actually think you're dead." "Exactly," Ethan said, eyes wide with adrenaline. "No finals for a dead guy." Maya slapped her forehead. "You're going to regret this, Ethan Price. I swear this will blow up in your face." But for the first time all semester, Ethan felt like he was winning, or so he thought. By Friday, Ethan's scheme had spiraled far beyond what he imagined. The school held a moment of silence during morning announcements. His math teacher, Mr. Collins, actually got teary-eyed while saying, Ethan Price was a bright young man taken too soon. Ethan sat in the back of the classroom, hood pulled low, trying not to choke on laughter and panic. When Maya heard the announcement, she stormed straight to Ethan's locker. "Do you realize what's happening? They're mourning you." Ethan grinned nervously. "Hey, at least I don't have to take the trig final." Maya threw her hands up. You're out of your mind. This isn't funny anymore. It's dangerous. But Ethan didn't hear her. For the first time in his life, he was noticed. People were whispering about him, crying about him, writing Instagram tributes. He was finally someone, even if it was as a ghost. Of course, the lie couldn't stay harmless forever. Principal Grant, a gruff ex-coach who didn't believe in nonsense, called Maya into his office. "You were close with Price," he said. "What do you know?" Maya froze. Not much. Just that he hated Trig." The principal narrowed his eyes. "This whole thing smells fishy. No police report, no parent call, nothing. Either the rumor mill has gone haywire, or someone's playing games." Meanwhile, Ethan was hiding out in his garage, scrolling through tribute posts. His stomach twisted. People were posting crying selfies, talking about how kind he was, how much he'd be missed. He muttered to himself, "I didn't know they actually liked me." But the deeper the school dug into his death, the more the walls closed in. If he confessed now, he'd look like a heartless jerk. If he didn't, someone else might figure it out. Things hit the boiling point when Ethan's parents got a call from the school counselor offering grief support. His mom stormed into his room, phone in hand. "Ethan James Price, why is your school saying you're dead?" Ethan sputtered. "A prank? Misunderstanding." His dad wasn't amused. "Fix it. Now." But Ethan was already too deep. By Monday, a group of students had organized a candlelight vigil at the football field. Maya begged him not to go, but of course, Ethan couldn't resist. Hood up, face half hidden. He lurked at the edge of the crowd while students cried and lit candles in his honor. One girl sobbed. He was too pure for this world. Ethan nearly laughed out loud until he saw his little sister crying too. That's when the guilt finally punched him in the gut. The end came, not with a dramatic confession, but with a stupid mistake. During chemistry, Ethan forgot himself. He raised his hand to answer a question. Half the class screamed. Someone fainted. "Ghost!" a freshman shouted. Principal Grant dragged Ethan to the office, red-faced. "Care to explain why half my school thinks you're 6 feet under?" Ethan stammered. I didn't want to take finals." The principal rubbed his temples. "You faked your death to skip trig?" Ethan winced. "And English. And history." By the end of the day, everyone knew the truth. The tributes turned to memes. Screenshots of the vigil with captions like, "When you skip finals so hard you skip life," flooded Instagram. And Ethan Price went from tragic legend to the biggest joke Lincoln Valley High had ever seen. By Tuesday, Ethan Price wasn't a ghost anymore. He was a meme. Someone made a TikTok edit of his funeral with dramatic sad music and a caption. "Bro came back to life just to fail final sculled." Within hours, it had 30,000 views. In the cafeteria, kids whispered, "R.I.P. Ethan," every time he walked by. Some even pretended to pray. The teachers weren't laughing. Principal Grant slapped Ethan with 2 weeks' detention and banned him from school events for the semester. His parents grounded him until the end of time. But the worst punishment was the social one. Every single person he'd overheard crying at the vigil now gave him death stares in the hallway. Even his little sister wouldn't talk to him. "You wanted to be noticed?" Maya said one day, sliding into the library chair across from him. "Congratulations. You're infamous." Ethan groaned, burying his face in his arms. "I'm dead for real now." Maya shook her head. "You're an idiot, but at least you're my idiot." She nudged him. "Next time, just study." Weeks passed. Finals ended, and Ethan barely scraped by with passing grades. The storm faded, but the story didn't. Freshmen whisper it like an urban legend. "Remember that guy who faked his death to skip finals?" Teachers use him as a cautionary tale. Don't pull an Ethan Price. And though his social life was in ruins, Ethan found a strange kind of peace in it. He wanted to be noticed. Well, he got his wish. Not as a hero, not as a genius, but as the punchline of Lincoln Valley High. One afternoon, as he and Maya walked home, Ethan sighed. "You think anyone will remember me in 10 years? Maya grinned. "Are you kidding? You're immortal now. They'll still be telling the story of the kid who faked his own death because he couldn't handle trig." Ethan laughed, for real this time. Maybe he wasn't the kind of legend he'd hoped for, but at least he'd given Lincoln Valley something unforgettable. And in the strange, twisted ecosystem of high school, that was its own kind of victory.